walk out on that field today, ask yourself this question. What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We ready! We ready! We ready! We ready! And don't do that! And don't do that! When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it. It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We ready. And let's go do that. And let's go do that. We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin strap. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from him. He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's war out there. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We ready. And let's go do that. And let's go do that. It's a wrap. Game over.
Nope, game not over. Just getting started right here on the lunch break, powered by JM&E and streaming live on Roku, courtesy of BS3 TV. If you got a Roku streaming device, you want to hit BS3 TV, download it, and you will be locked into some great programming. Glad to be a part of the family. All right, hey, it's Freestyle Friday. I've got a very special guest back by popular demand, but she just sent me a message. StreamYard is making her download something, and I don't see you. She says she's here. Oh, there she is. There she is. Let me get her on. I want to know what StreamYard was making you download, because they ain't supposed to be doing that. Don't make me go after them people.
Oh, I was trying to log on from a Mac.
Oh, okay. I got a Mac. It don't make me do.
It said I needed to download Google Chrome. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're live.
We are live. Yeah.
Okay.
I got you right in.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah. Look, I'm like the Supreme Court. I just get right to it, baby. I don't hold back. We're not gonna ease into it.
You see.
I love it. Y'all got to keep it up for Erika. Erika, first of all, how are you today? Long time no see.
Good. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. What have you been doing since you blew it up over here on the lunch break the last time you were on?
That was fun. Nothing. Just working, school, kids, being mom. You know, same old.
You know what? You got some amazing kids. Tell us how the daughters are doing. You got an amazing son. Tell us how the family's doing.
Yeah. So my oldest is getting ready to try to transition to Los Angeles and live the life of an influencer. She's doing pretty well.
Good.
My middle baby is starting school in August, and my little one will start kindergarten. Well, she's starting college in August, and my little one will start kindergarten in August as well. So yeah,
that's all.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're like me. I got what my oldest son calls second generation kids. Mm-hmm. I got grown kids, and then I have young kids. And folks are like, "What is wrong with you?" Like my youngest. Should I say this? I don't know. It's Freestyle Friday, so go and get it out. I've got two younger kids that are younger than my grandchildren.
Oh, okay. That's okay. No, that's okay, because kids keep you young. You know, he has me at the park. He has me doing things that I may not do otherwise. And he's really active. And so when we go work out, he wants to work out. And so he's a lot of fun. So, and I've always wanted a boy. So.
Yeah, and see, what's crazy is I started off with a boy. I call him my twin. And then I had a daughter, and then my son, and then I went girl crazy. And I absolutely love that. It's like, what was I thinking? I tell my sons, y'all get out there and y'all make it happen. I tell my daughters, y'all come home anytime you want to. Anytime, no matter your age, no matter your location, I'll come get you on the moon if I have to.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, thank you, because I've been told that I'm not supposed to play favorites. I'm like, man, forget you. You manage your own kids. This is how I rock with mine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I saw you stirring it up on social media. You was out there causing trouble. What's wrong with you, Erika?
Not sure which post you're talking about.
You did have many that were just.
Yeah. So the one that really kind of got me stirring was the NIL post.
And it is the anniversary of NIL today. It is the 1-year anniversary of NIL today. And oh yeah, by the way, all you naysayers who thought that the whole thing was going to come crashing down, we still got real good college sports.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll make it even more competitive. My worry is just that some of the wholesomeness will be taken out of, college sports. And I had a kind of a question about a post I saw last week, and, it was a player in a uniform in a locker room. And, they were doing a dance to some song lyrics that I don't know that a university would want, to be associated with that. So kind of the celebrity that's going to come with this and the seeking endorsements.
Yeah.
Kind of worries me, but hopefully they'll implement some protocol and some education components that will help the student athletes kind of walk that fine line.
Well, I think you bring up a valid point, though. But my question is this: should it be the NCAA that implements those standards and protocols, or should it be the school themselves?
It should be left to the institution.
Yeah.
My only issue with that post was, if the athlete was not in the locker room wearing a uniform, it would have been fine. That's kind of what today's culture is.
Yeah.
But making sure that if they are representing the university wearing gear, in the facilities, that they act a certain way. So
yeah. Erika Martin Cross joining us here on the lunch break. Freestyle Friday. She blew us up. Has it been a couple of months now since you were on?
Maybe a month.
Yeah.
Time gets away from me. It's already June 1st or July 1st. So I don't know.
You and me both. We're across the halfway point of 2022. It's about to be 2023. So,
and what I realized, I don't want to cut you off, but what I realized, because, if a player came on and put their picture, people might say there's a little arrogance to that. But this was 30 years ago. So this is vintage, and I realized, wow, I'm old. I don't feel old, but
look,
this
I can't let you say that you're old, because then that makes me older, and I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. No, you earn those receipts, Erika. You put your pictures up. You can wear your any awards that you can rock it how you want to rock it, because you earned that. Those are called receipts in our modern jargon of today. So. No, don't feel bad about being great at what you do.
Yeah. It was, it was a long time ago, and during that time, I don't think I realized how amazing it was to actually have the opportunity to go to the next level. And it was just what I did. But looking back, and maybe it's COVID, maybe it's the transfer portal, but a lot of kids that I thought would go Power 5 aren't having that opportunity anymore, and so it's it's interesting.
Erika Martin Cross, we talked about this is the last time you were on. She is a All-American candidate out of Purdue. Did I get it right?
Mm-mm.
Where what school am I putting you at?
Okay, y'all. It was nice talking to y'all today.
Don't hang up on me.
Mizzou.
That's right. And Mizzou, Purdue. I got it mixed up. Charge that to my head, not my heart.
Mm-hmm.
But you were in a conference that has shifted and has morphed. And watch this. Now we see what's going on with the Big Ten, with two perennial, long-term, staples of the Pac-12 that are eventually going to jump over to the Big Ten. And I said yesterday when the news broke, back in the day, that would have been unheard of for USC and for UCLA to join the Big Ten. We thought it was a big deal when UT and Oklahoma announced they were leaving the Big 12 to go to the SEC. But this is bigger. This is the beginning of something that's going to change the landscape forever. When you see that happening and you remember how it was when you were at Mizzou, what do you think about what's going on today?
So when I first heard about it, I don't think I realized the magnitude until I was watching SportsCenter this morning and they put up the map of the US and they showed the Big Ten schools, and these two schools in California. And logistically, it's going to be expensive, number one. But they were talking about maybe, regions and how maybe the NC2A will be divided into, regions across the US and what that could potentially look like. So I think it's opening the door to something unknown that we don't know what's going to happen. But the NIL is changing the face of college sports. It will never be the same. And so we'll just have to see how that plays out.
So, and Trey Pike and Julian are correcting me online. And that, again, I own it. I'm not going to try. At least I didn't say something racist or inappropriate. So please forgive me.
Well, I have to give a shout out to Julian, though. He was on the men's team when I was there. Julian Winfield, a great player from Missouri. So.
Yeah, big shout out to you, Julian. Thanks for tuning in. And Trey, it's always a pleasure to have you, Captain Trey Pike. He listens to us all over the world, so we're just grateful to have him actually chiming in today. You just made a statement. So do you think this is NIL driven, or is it a bigger money pool drive that now has the Big Ten coastal? They got teams in Maryland, they got teams in New Jersey, all the way over to California.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think most everything done now is money driven. So whether it's, from the NIL or the powers that be that stand to make, money off of what potential tournaments and, travel, all of that could be. I don't know, but I don't know. It's interesting. Like I said, when I heard about it yesterday, I was just like, oh, that's okay. But then when I saw it on that.
She froze up. There you are. Okay, you're back.
I don't see the SEC ever going away. So I don't know. We have 3 or 4 big leagues. What will that look like?
Yeah, we've got Erika Martin Cross joining us here on the Lunch Break Freestyle Friday, and you brought up something that one of our our platform BS3 Ben Sutter III said yesterday. He feels like there's going to be 3 powerful conferences. Obviously, we're talking about the Big Ten. Obviously, we're talking about the SEC. But here's my question. Who's that third possible powerful conference?
I don't know. I mean, they're leaving the Pac-12. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who they can pull around and move around. I'm sure they'll figure it out, though.
Yeah. To me, it's a race to the finish. To me, there are 2 conferences that literally need to be going after the other conferences members in order to survive. And I think whichever one gets the remaining schools in their conference to leave and go will win. And I'm talking about the Pac-12 and its remaining members trying to poach people from maybe the Big 12, or the Big 12 doing the exact opposite, trying to poach people, remainders from the Pac-12, because again, it's not going to be a Power 5 as we know it. In fact, if you look at the landscape, it's SEC, it's Big 10, and then it's really everybody else. The Big 12 had to make major moves just to replace Texas and Oklahoma. And what's going on in the ACC? I mean, what have they done that makes us think that they are, sufficient? They're Clemson on the football side. They're Duke, North Carolina on the basketball side, and everybody else.
Right. And do you see them leaving, to go to the I don't know. I have no idea. This is all like, I'm going to map it out. I'm going to draw it out and see what I can come up with.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I mean, to answer your question, I have to do it with a question. Did we see UCLA and USC leaving the Pac-12? I mean, come on. Those were the schools that were historic when you think about all the people that came through there, when you think about Heisman trophies, when you think about, even basketball powerhouses with, Coach Wooden and the folks that came through UCLA. I mean, those are two schools that, like I said, if it was Oklahoma State, Oregon State and Utah or something like that, that'd be different. We're talking about the blue bloods of the conference saying, hey, we're going to go do something else.
Yeah. I mean, really, logistically, it makes no sense. I don't know, other than trying to create this incredible rivalry in state that is part of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. So.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I'm a borderline anarchist. I like to just tear it all up, especially when, it just seems like folks have gotten comfortable with the way it is and the way it used to be. I mean, a year ago, people swore that the entire NCAA model was going to collapse because of name, image, and likeness. And I like to say it slowly. Folks were angry because student athletes were going to get paid for their own name, their own image, and their own likeness, as if that was the worst thing in the world. But here we are a year later, and everything is still standing. So if I'm SEC, I'm on the phone with Clemson asking them, what can we do to get you to join us? Mm-hmm. I'm on the phone with North Carolina saying, what can we do to get you to join us? I'm on the phone with Duke saying, what can we do to get you to join us? Because those schools might not be football powers like a Clemson, but they are basketball, little G's, if you will. So I'd be on the phone with them trying to say, hey, UCLA and USC did it. Why not you?
I'm pretty confident in believing that that's happening, that those calls are being made. And wouldn't it be interesting if, this was just basketball and football, because of competition levels, there was a completely different conference. Who knows what's about to happen?
Yeah. And in fact, we got to take a quick break. But when we come back, I want to talk about what the athletic director of The Ohio State University said about that. We'll be right back with Erika Martin Cross. She is a former basketball standout at Mizzou. And I got to make up for that, Erika. I have to send your youngest child something to make up for that. We'll be right back with more right after this on The Lunch Break, powered by Jones Media and Entertainment.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
All right, y'all, we're back here on The Lunch Break, powered by Jones Media and Entertainment, and broadcasting live on ROKU TV, courtesy of the BS3 Network. If you got a Roku streaming device, download BS3 TV. You'll thank me later because they've got some great programming. Keith Hennick gave you a big shout out. Mizzou, Columbia is a fantastic town, and this brother has been all over this globe. So big shout out to you, Keith. We were talking before the break with Erika Martin Cross about this just upheaval in the world of college sports. UCLA, USC leaving the Pac-10, going over to, or the Pac-12, going over to the Big Ten. And I was going to talk to you about what the president, or athletic director, if you will, of The Ohio State University said. He said, why not just create a football conference that's autonomous from any other governing body. Watch this. Even the NCAA just have its own football league division, if you will. And my thought was, that's crazy. And then all of a sudden I stopped and said, no, but wait a minute. What does the NCAA provide as value to a major conference of Power 5 football teams?
No, I can answer that. So, have you, this made me think about, have you seen Cory Booker's Bill of Rights for sports that he has? Okay, so I don't know the details about it, but it made me think of that. It's all of this is going to make the NC2A step up their game and their treatment of athletes, aftercare, making sure that careers are lined up and they're, not just there for 4 years and putting their body on the line day after day and then graduating and not having any options. So I do think it's going to make them step up their game and how they treat athletes.
I appreciate you saying that because, obviously you are one of those athletes that, that did that on a very high level. But here's my thing. Hadn't that boat sailed? Hadn't that ship sailed already? I mean, I feel like the NCAA has just not done what they could have done. Like there's so many unforced errors that the NCAA has made. Cover your ears and cover your mouth so they don't think you said this under Mark Emmert's leadership. And even before him, especially when it comes to women's sports, especially when it comes to equal and fair treatment that they were, required to have under Title IX. I mean, I just feel like there is just no trust there. We saw it with the Supreme Court. We saw it with, state governments putting their own laws in place, to cover NIL before the NCAA ever got its act together. And now they want to play catch up. I just feel like, as big as this thing has gotten, it is beyond the control and the power of this NCAA administration. Yeah.
So don't they have to be involved though if the sports are still aligned with college institutions? The NC2A will, still have to be the governing body, but I mean they do have to catch up. I don't think they anticipated it going as fast as it has because it's taken off. The University of Missouri is bringing on, a team. I don't want to misquote, but I think athletic director that is just responsible for NIL and helping students create those opportunities.
As they should. Yeah.
Yeah. They're always ahead of the game with things like that.
Look at you with the little shameful plug. I like it.
Oklahoma football team, I think I read something about, all the student athletes would have a $50,000 NIL deal coming there. So, it's kind of bringing to light what's been done in the dark for a while. The top institutions have always had boosters, have always brought, players in. It is what it is. The girls teams weren't treated like that. We saw how the men's recruits were treated when they came on campus. We didn't have that.
Come on now. You sure y'all didn't have that? Come on, y'all didn't get nothing. Y'all didn't get anything.
No, I got in trouble a lot for recruits. I'll never forget getting called into my coach's office. The recruit decided not to come because I had taken her to a party that she thought was a little too wild for her taste. And I don't think it was too wild, but we did the best we could to entertain our recruits. But the boys, they had a different experience from us. Our boys team. I know Julian's watching.
I was just gonna say, Julian, chime in anywhere you want to now.
They would fly out, and they go to their road trip. They come back. Our schedule was such that we played on Thursdays and Sundays. So we would leave, miss class, get on the bus, drive to wherever we were playing Thursday, drive to where we'd be playing next, and come back Sunday night. So the experience has always been different. So I think it does kind of leverage women's ability to earn income and get these deals more so than it would have, and the NCAA has just been operating under kind of an old system, and they just have to catch up. So
Julian spoke up. Julian said, correct. She is telling the truth. That's all right. I appreciate you chiming in, Julian. So my dad had a jet black German Shepherd.
Okay.
jet black eyes, black skin. The only thing that was different color on it was his tongue was red. This dog was so strong that he could tell the difference when I had the leash and my dad had the leash. Mm. So for a while, this dog would let me walk him. But whenever he wanted to do his own thing, he went where he wanted to go. And if I didn't let the leash go, I just had to go that direction. I say that to say that the NCAA is an association that I feel like its member institutions like Ohio State, like Alabama, like schools like that, they allow them to be the governing body. They don't have to. Mm. And I feel like we're getting closer to a time where we're going to see somebody not just propose pulling away from the NCAA, but actually do it.
Yeah. I don't know. That's definitely going to be interesting. It's changing so much. And while I wasn't, a naysayer of student athletes being able to earn the income, it did make me question, what will this look like? Mm-hmm. And, there's already so many people trying to capitalize on sports. And, and that the post that I commented on was speaking to preparing 5th and 6th graders to be ready for the NIL. And to me, it's just basic life lessons that you should be preparing them for. But I can see someone now, a new company where they're, charging parents to prepare their kids for the NIL endorsements. And, in that aspect, I, don't want, just the basic fundamentals of participation in sports going away, the discipline, the teamwork, sure. The accountability. It's not just about, hey, sign me for, your contract. It's about all of the things that you learn and develop over the years competing in sports. And I'm afraid that is probably going to get pushed by the wayside a little bit.
We got Erika Martin Cross joining us here on the lunch break, and she's given some real good dialogue about the landscape in college sports. Erika, you and I are both believers, so I won't dare say that I'm going to play devil's advocate, because I'm not. I'm not advocating for the devil. Mm-hmm. But I want to, again, I want to just kind of go on the opposite end of the spectrum for discussion's sake, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. If we can offer 7th graders and 8th graders scholarships, mm-hmm. why can't we offer them the opportunity to, market our products or our services or what have you? Is it actually child labor laws as opposed to amateurism for the NCAA? Because if that be the case, then I don't want to see another announcement that so-and-so offered, a 9th grader a scholarship or a 10th grader a scholarship. If they are too young to accept that scholarship, then how can they be too young to earn money based on their own name, image, and likeness? What are kid actors?
Absolutely. Yeah.
They can earn money.
Yeah. I definitely would be the same thing. I wouldn't be opposed to any of that. My opposition would just be to what are you instilling in a young child, just about life and character and loyalty and respect and honor and all of those things. If they're developing those, that's what you need to become, an NIL athlete, to secure some of these contracts. Just having integrity, loyalty, working hard, skill development, all of that just plays into that. So I don't think it's something that we need to come up with to sell parents to encourage, to improve their child's opportunity in getting signed with an NIL sponsor.
Yeah, let me throw up a couple comments. Trey Pike said it's almost like the governing body is going to the highest bidder. You said it on who the governing body listens to. And then Julian chimed in and said, bingo, Erika, on one of the comments that you made. And then Trey just enlightened me on something that I was today's years old when I learned this. Louisiana passed an NIL for high school athletes. Mm-hmm. So, well, no, I don't. I was getting ready to tell a bold-faced lie. I was going to say I try to keep politics out of the sports on this show. Mm-hmm. That ain't true. I dive face first into it. If people are having more of a say in what their children are taught and how they're being taught, mm-hmm. when you talk about critical race theory and they don't want to talk about slavery and things like that, should it not be incumbent upon the parent or parents to make sure that their child is properly educated if they get the opportunity to earn money for whatever, whether it be name, image, and likeness, whether it be as a child actor, whether it be, watch this, you've got tennis players that turn pro at 14, 15. You got golfers that have, joined a regional pro circuit at very young ages. You got baseball players that get drafted right out of high school. So, again, I know not all parents have those skill sets, but if we're going to take it one way where the parents are in total control of the education, why can't we go ahead and throw the financial education and literacy out there as well?
Yeah, definitely that's a component that's missing in public education anyway, preparing kids. And especially you said, the kids that cannot afford it, the parents that can't afford it. That's kind of what pulls on my heartstrings when I see about another, service being sold when you have, kids and parents that can barely afford to put food on their table. So what are we going to do? Remove their opportunities from becoming, because they can't pay $3,000 and be put on a list to be recruited. And so that's kind of what upsets me when we start talking about things like that, because I think all kids should be taught those same basic skills. And like you said, if there's a kid that's standing out, okay, we know that kid needs some press training. We know, we need to teach them, about their social media a little bit more because they're going to have more eyes on them. But just overall, fundamentally, we should be teaching these kids those things anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I got to take another quick break. We'll come back. Trey Pike had a very good comment. We'll come back with that right after this. Erika Martin Cross right here, lighting it up again on the lunch break, powered by Jones Media and Entertainment. We'll be right back.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV. All right, y'all just saw there the Cinematic Affair is coming up on July 16th. That will be 3 short films that will premiere, and you can get your tickets to it. Go to thecinematicaffair.com. That's thecinematicaffair.com. This guy right here is going to be in one of those movies. I'll be in a movie called Soulmates. So be sure to check out the premiere on July 16th for The Cinematic Affair. I can't wait. Yeah, Eric, I got some acting skills going. You ain't know. So before the break, I said we were going to comment on what Trey Pike had to say. Apparently, a school that I played against, there was an undefeated Brother Martin High School wrestler, Richie Clemente, and Louisiana's first high school athlete to sign an NIL deal when he reached an agreement with Friendly Power Sports in Slidell. So, interesting. The quarterback for UT, Quinn Ewers, ended up going up to Ohio State because he, in effect, signed an NIL deal in high school. So he declared early so he could keep that money.
and from what I understand, it was a 7-figure deal. You know, he basically played one, maybe 2 games at Ohio State and then transferred to where he wanted to be all along. But that was so that he could get around the NIL restrictions in the state of Texas for, high schoolers. So whether we want to or not, it's already pushing down beyond college.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of blows my mind because I hadn't heard that yet. So, I mean, it's just definitely going to change the game, and I don't want to be that person, but I'm not sure, how that's for the best for high school sports. But, I will never knock any kid for, the opportunities that they have that, will change their life, potentially change generations in their life. But 1.5 mil in a truck. Yeah, I'm not mad. But how does this play out? I'm a big proponent of equity in sports and opportunities for all kids. So I'm just, I'll just have to watch this closely and see how it starts to play out. So.
Do you mind if I rant for a second, just for, and not at you, I'm gonna rant at Trey.
Trey,
you tell them to take that money over to De La Salle. That's where I went to school. The Brother Martin kids don't need that money. Bring that over to De La Salle or Xavier Prep. Excuse me, St. Aug. Yeah. So anyway, I just had to get that out. My old Louisiana days reared up on me. So he was talking about the quarterback from Ohio State. So here's my thing. I think I would probably run away from home if a school or a business offered me $1.5 million and a truck, and I'm in high school borrowing my mother's, Rambler or, Pacer, and I got a chance for a brand new truck because I can wrestle or I can play football. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, and I'm not encouraging kids to run away, but I just know me. I probably would have ended up at my grandmama's house with that money in that truck.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about a lot of childhood actors, when they, eventually get old enough to tell their story, they went through some difficult times. So, it's even more so going to have to watch for the predators and the people that don't have the best interest of these kids looking for opportunities to, maximize their financial bottom line. But, it's my son's 5. And he's going to be, an athlete or a brain surgeon, whatever. But, it changes how parents will have to follow their kids and teach their kids and know who to align with and know who to trust. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, Erika, we already kind of have that today, though, don't we? I mean,
we do.
Not you now, not you and not anybody at Mizzou. But I know some 5-star athletes from the past that literally it was a revolving door in their living room with their mom and grandmother and uncles and them sitting there, and it was who had the biggest bag.
Yeah.
And again, when Nick Saban went on his rant, it's like, Nick, are you kidding me right now? You got to know that somebody's paying these kids under your watch. And either you know about it, and that's a problem, or you don't know about it, and that's a bigger problem. And by the way, they were paying them long before you got there, and they'll be paying them long after you go.
But we know in this country, the rules were only created for some, and as soon as others start, doing the same thing, it becomes an issue. But I don't know if you watched the BET Awards. Diddy said he was going to donate $1 million to Jackson State. So on another hand, this could open up some opportunities for institutions to pull in some bigger name players and maybe level out some of the competition, the playing field. So, well, I mean, it could go either way. But we know what reality is, that there'll be some people who don't have the best interest. They're not there for the kids or the sport. They're there for themselves, and so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and that's why I said if we look back at our conversation about the NCAA. I mean, they go after the, Prairie Views. They go after the Jackson States. They go after Miami because I don't think they like Miami, but they don't go after Alabama. They don't go after Kansas. Up at Kansas, Bill Self just flat out said, we don't agree with your ruling. We're going to appeal your ruling. And then even when the appeal process went against them. It's like, well, we're just not going to comply. I mean, how do you get to do this? Supposedly the NCAA, when they lowered the hammer on you, the hammer was lowered and you just dealt with it. But we're now seeing that schools like Kansas, schools like North Carolina, schools like Duke, just flat out say, no, okay, whatever, but we're not gonna fly with that.
Yeah, I mean, we see that, in other aspects of life, as well. Like, we don't talk about politics, but in politics and where people will just do what they want to do. And, this has opened that up just a little bit more when you have so much money involved. So,
yeah. So let's go back to your days at Mizzou, Miss Mizzou, Mizzou born and Mizzou bred, Mizzou proud, and Mizzou.
I'm Arkansas born. Now.
Okay.
I didn't say Razorback. I said Arkansas born, Mizzou raised. So yeah.
What town in Arkansas again?
Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Okay, where they have they have the resorts that have the champagne glasses for bathtubs.
I haven't been to those, so I don't know.
I used to be a timeshare owner, so I would get all these different advertisements from different cities with wanting us to come. But no, look, we don't do that no more. We don't do that no more. So here's my question: if you had gotten an NIL deal back then, $1.5 million, Ford F-250, what would you have done?
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been when I would have gotten one of those deals. I would have taken it. and yeah, like I said, never knock someone for having the opportunity to change generations for their families. We can just hope that they have financial advisors and the right people lined up so they don't just blow it, because we know a lot of people, get that money in the pros and it's gone in a couple of years. They don't know what to do with it. So, that's what people should be focused on, lining up the right support system for families, so that if they do, what happens to lottery winners? Most of them end up broke. So if they do get this money, it is literally a game changer for them. And it's not just, how many cars can I buy?
Yeah, I'd like to have the chance to skew those numbers. Give me the lottery money and watch me not blow it, and that way that'll skew the numbers in the right direction. So I'm learning. I got an 18-year-old who's on her way to Southern, and we're being told that because she's 18, they literally have to go through her first, and then she has to give us permission and access to her records and financial information, what have you. I'm a little different than her mother, because I'm like, well, here's the deal. Whatever you're not paying for is coming out of my account. So if you want that money out of my account, then I'm going to need that code. Just that simple. So either you go get coffee or go to the bathroom or whatever you do, but I don't want to have to flip through a whole lot to get that code. So, and her mother just rolls her eyes. So they would have come to you first and said, Erika, we want to offer you $1.5 million, and we're going to give you the keys to this F-250. What would your conversation have been with your parents?
So I don't know. I would have started with my parents, just because, they would not have had, the experience, just financially. They were, both teachers to guide me down that path. I would have looked to older athletes at Wallace Snowden, for instance. He played at Mizzou. He was from Arkansas. My same hometown, same church. And so I would have looked at people who had kind of walked that path before me and were, financially doing well to guide me. I played overseas. I didn't make a lot of money, but with the money that I made, I came back and bought a Ford Explorer and had no more money. So I would have hopefully sought out the wisdom of others and not just blown the money. But, we're kids. Kids do silly things. So
grown-ups do silly things. So
absolutely. So, being in the mindset of what if and how do we teach kids to navigate these opportunities? But if you think about it, kids graduate high school not knowing how to run a household, not knowing how to pay their rent, not knowing how to pay their utility bills. So that has to be a part of the curriculum going forward.
I remember back in my day, it was learning how to balance a checkbook. And I could say the first time I was taught how to balance a checkbook was not in my home. And, people, don't know how to add in fees and things like that. So you get down to what my grandfather used to say, who was a business owner, to the penny. You don't leave money out there, especially when it's yours. You get it down to the penny, and you know where every dollar goes. So I want to switch gears for a second. Got a shout out to the King himself. Y'all give it up for King Doc. He's one of the hosts of Queen 3 and King podcast, a phenomenal podcast on the BS3 network. So again, download BS3 TV on your Roku streaming device. We now know that TikTok video with the man trying to bring food to his one child out of 4, I guess, with this one woman, that it was I don't want to call it a hoax. I mean, they did what social media is for. They created a scenario.
Oh, so it wasn't real?
It wasn't real. You ain't know?
I didn't know.
Yeah,
I'm today old finding out. No.
And I was just gonna say, now that you know it's not real, how do you feel about your statements that you made, that you stirred up with that one right there?
Oh, I stand by that. If you can't, you should think about if you can afford to take care of a child before you decide to partake in making a child.
Mother and father.
Okay. I mean, you still need to properly, plan and make sure that you can do what you need to do. That is hilarious. I need to process that. Because, ultimately I just felt for the kids. Whatever they have going on is what they have going on. But if a kid was hungry and they had to watch a sibling eat and they couldn't eat, that, broke my heart. But that's crazy. I didn't know that.
I'm not mad. Initially I was mad, and then I was like, "Oh, see, y'all went all crazy over this thing," and it was it was a skit. But then I said, no. They actually did something pretty powerful because they stimulated emotion, they stimulated conversation. They may have even made co-parents look at how they're co-parenting. So I'm sure some good came out of the skit, but. I said to you, I've been there, done that. I have definitely taken care of other people's kids while I was taking care of my own, because I was with the mother. And I was also a single father. I had my oldest son with me from the time he was 6 years old to the time he graduated from high school. And I'd never let my child or a child go without. But that was just me. But here's the thing. Here's the difference. I didn't feel obligated to do that. It was just part of my DNA. I was raised with quote unquote stepchildren. We never used the word step. Those were my brothers. Those were my sisters. And if I went to get my son and the other kids were there, guess what? If they can come, then I'll take them all. If you're okay with it, what have you. And I'm going to treat them like they were my own. But I didn't feel obligated to do it. It was just part of who I was. When I kicked back at you, I was like, now, should he feel obligated to do that, or that should just be who he is?
I just think human nature, though, would, there were different versions of the story. But human nature would just say, there's kids and they're hungry and they're innocent in all of this. And so, if I can't, I'd heard that he said, well, I can, take him for a ride. And so that's fine if that's your option. But, kids get jealous and can be cruel. So if they're watching, a sibling eat and they're hungry, just, I think obligated, no. Do we have to be good people? No. But I feel like we're obligated, especially as believers, to be good people. So,
yeah. My mom always said, you don't have to be the smartest, but you're going to be the most polite.
Yeah. Be kind, especially when it comes to kids.
Right.
So.
And then when she threw the food down, she's okay, we'll fix it. Give it here. And then threw the food down.
I didn't watch the video, so I didn't see. I was just reading.
I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you play-by-play because I want to hear what you have to say about her taking the food and throwing it on the ground, Miss Erika. What say you?
Yeah, so I thought just her role in the entire thing was obnoxious. So I'm not going to defend, her behavior at all. I think, there's so many different ways, if it was true, it could have been handled. But we want to keep our composure in front of kids no matter what. And I haven't always. I'm divorced, engaged, but I'm divorced, and so it wasn't a fun experience. And so when it comes down to it, we have to make sure that the kids see us acting honorably and with integrity. And so I don't think, she should have thrown the Happy Meal on the ground. So this is wasted food. Now nobody can eat. And so it just didn't make any sense.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you, I told you, I've learned the hard way on several things. And I can't control my ex, but I can control me. And there have been times where things started to go left. And I said, listen, we don't have problems like this, and we don't have to have problems like this. So if I need to leave, come back, and we try and pick it up from where we left off, that's fine. But I'm not going to argue with you. I'm certainly not going to fight with you, because at the end of the day, we got to take care of our kids. And we've been great. I mean, when I tell you we are best friends, we are best friends. We do divorce recovery classes together.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, even people outside of us try to make problems with us because we so cool, because we both made the decision we are not going to have problems with each other. We don't have to.
Yeah, no, that's great. And public opinion, just reading different views on it, I don't think most people operate like that. And I just couldn't believe how mean-spirited people were commenting about, and it seems like nobody really cared about the kids. They were just worried about either she was toxic or what he did wrong. And, I just, if we just keep focused on the kids and all of this and NIL and broken families and schools and education, if we just think about what's best for the kid in this moment, then we win.
Right. And getting back to the sports side of it, that's where, again, I got to question the NCAA. I got to question some of these head coaches. I got to question some of these leaders in the athletic department, because they always say it's about the kids, it's about the kids, it's about the kids. But here to now, before a year ago, all the money, except for scholarship money and stipends, was going to the coaches. It was going to the school. They were building multi-million-dollar facilities, and the kid was just supposed to make it off the scholarship and the stipend. Not knocking the scholarship or the stipend, but in most businesses, the more you generate, the more you have an opportunity to make, whether it be in bonuses, whether it be in commissions, or what have you. So to make it sound like in this one particular industry, this was just a no-go, there was no way this could happen, to me was just archaic. It was just prehistoric.
Yeah, most of what we do is archaic, because, you can look at it from so many different sides, but just, to get an education, to become a college professor and have those student loans that you have to pay back, you have to earn a certain salary. Right. So the business side of it always overruled what was in the best interest of the kids, because if it had not, I have a wrist injury. I played all season with the torn ligament in my wrist, and I still, scored a lot, but it follows me through life. Like I still have a wrist injury. Right. And no one cared. No one cares to know what happens to college student athletes with their nagging injuries. They do not make sure kids. I found a job after school. No one helped me find a job. There was a career center, but that should have been something that they were preparing me for the entire time. They could do job fairs. They could bring in like Mizzou is working on the NIL contracts. There could have been something in place to bring in employers and connect people with internships. But it was winning. And who can blame the coaches too? If you don't win, you get fired. I mean, coaches get for sale signs put out in front of their yard when they're not doing well. So it's just such an entanglement of just confusion, and every time that happens, a kid loses every time.
And there are times when kids did not get the same scholarship that they had one year the next year, if a scholarship at all. And a lot of folks don't know that side of it. So Erika Martin Cross bringing up some real good things as we discuss this landscape in college sports. We're about to have to wrap it up, but I want to go rapid fire with you before we go. And then I need you to start putting together your own show, because you got a following out of this world. You had people looking at the rebroadcast of your first time on this show, like months, weeks after we were on together. So I'm telling you, you need to put something together because you got a great following, and I'll be more than happy to help you if you're interested. All right, I'm gonna give you a name, and you tell me first thing that comes to your mind. You ready?
Yeah.
Kevin Durant.
Suns.
Leader? Is Kevin Durant a leader?
Absolutely. I think he is.
Okay. Is he a good leader?
I think we can all improve, but just, I've been following Kevin and Mr. Durant, and I mean, I like him. I don't know him personally off the court. I haven't read up on any of that, but his value system, he said his mom is the real MVP. He opened the Boys and Girls Club in Seattle. I've seen him comment on some of the female college players posts, encouraging them. I like him. He's not flashy. He's tall, he's skilled, he's been very dependable at the Nets. So I'm a KD fan. So and coincidentally, the Suns, I'm a Suns fan because Devin Booker and his father Melvin played at Mizzou when they went undefeated. And so, I hope he goes to the Suns because I want them to do well. Devin works hard. He signed his new contract, and I would love to see KD down there with him.
Kyrie Irving.
Selfish is my opinion. Is he's selfish, and here's why. Because if he truly could not take the vaccination, they could have found a reason. I mean, people got exemptions for medical reasons. So if it wasn't a medical reason, it was just an ego to devastate the fans, to prevent them from competing, just because of your pride. Like that, to me, is that's not a team player. That's not someone I would want on my team. So that's why I want KD at the Suns, and I want him to have his shine with D-Book.
Got another one for you. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry.
The man, Aisha's husband. Like, I love the Currys. They, him and LeBron, to me, like, set aside what they've done athletically, the fact that they're husbands and fathers, and you don't hear a lot, about them. I mean, we're people. We're going to make mistakes. No one's perfect. But they are the examples of, if I think about, families and building the families and husbands and Black fathers and what the world needs to see, like I get goosebumps thinking about LeBron and stuff. So I'm a big fan.
Equal pay in sports.
Equity is everything. The whole soccer thing is ridiculous to me because they were making more money. So why did they have to ask to get their money that they were making? Like, come on now. So, I don't think, everyone should make the same, if maybe they're not pulling in all of the same revenue. But when you have to ask for what you're earning, to me, that's ridiculous. So,
best player in women's basketball.
There's a lot. Like, I love Skylar right now. I know she didn't make the All-Star team, but she is playing hard and she plays with passion. So I'm going to go with Skylar. She's got my attention right now. So.
Yeah, again, that's one that we don't hear often, and Skylar has been consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's passionate. She's so passionate, and her and Diana had that little whatever on the sideline, and I just felt that, like, in the heat of the moment when you're in that flow state and you're emotions go high, and they put the camera on her and she was sitting there and that leg was bobbing. I was like, I've been there, Scott. I know how you feel right now.
There have been people that posted that you were a lot more modest on the first show than you needed to be, because they said you were a beast on that sideline and on that court.
It was what God had for me. I don't know. Knowing, I'm getting my doctorate in performance psychology, and I didn't really understand the concept of flow state like I do now, but I met all of that. Like, when I played, I was in flow state. And I'll tell you, Sophie Cunningham, a lot of people like to hate on her because of how emotional she is. But if you watch her energy, that is the kind of energy that elevates you, that people, you know, they'll go, well, I didn't expect that. It's because if she gets to that flow state, her mind is right, her body is right, and she's put in the prep. And when all of that meets, it's like, ooh, I'm getting goosebumps again. It's something you can't explain, but the mental aspect of it is what people don't really focus on, and they need to.
Yeah, let me go ahead and announce Brittany Griner's trial is underway over in a Russian court, facing 10 years of convicted, and is expected to be convicted so that the Russian government could use her as a high-valued pawn for trading for some incarcerated member of their society. What are your thoughts about that whole process? And then we'll wrap up after that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard not to get emotional about that. It's unfortunate. It's devastating. You know, her wife, I feel bad, or fiance, I'm not sure if they're married. I feel bad. Okay, for her family, her teammates, but especially for Brittany. I mean, who would have thought that she would have been caught up in an international, you know, a war, but it's just unbelievable. When I saw a picture of her, you know, it was just hard not to get emotional. So she is constantly in our thoughts and prayers. We met her in 2014, 2016, and she met my daughters and came over and talked to them after the game and talked to everyone. And she's very pleasant and kind. And, you know, the only thing I can say is I know that there's something great on the other side of this for Brittany. If she could just get through this, you know, she can make it through this. She can make it through anything. She will make it through this. And, you know, we're praying until she gets home. So,
yeah, most definitely that. I got a chance to meet her in high school, got a chance to know her father. And man, this, when you say it's hard not to get emotional about it, it is. I mean, in my bingo card of life, I never thought one day I would pop up and be a political prisoner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we wish her the best. And I say that to say, don't get taken back by the news you might hear as a result of this trial. It's expected that she's going to be convicted. It's expected that they're going to sentence her to the full 10 years or whatever it is that goes along with that alleged crime. And it's expected that they're doing that to raise her value in being able to trade for some other political prisoner. So we definitely are praying for her family. Erika, tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, and keep up with all the pot stirring that you do on social media.
You know, I don't know my name on social media, and I don't have a lot of followers. I kind of like it like that. That way, if I post something crazy, that it's not held against me. But
I do know your.
I think it's Erika.Kenyatta. Kenyatta is my middle name.
It is. But if you want to keep it on the low, then you.
I mean, it doesn't. You know, it doesn't matter. I just, you know, I'm not that popular.
Doing a show. Let me put you on the spot about that. When are you gonna start doing a show? It could be a weekly show. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing.
So, I mean, I'm open to it. And I told you before I did, I said yes to doing the show because I thought it was like on radio and nobody could see me. And so when I realized it was live, not even recorded, I was like, oh no. And then when I think about it, I was like, I didn't even ask this man for no questions. I didn't know what was about to happen. That shows you how ill prepared, and I had no idea what was about to happen.
But that shows how good you are, because you flowed. You flowed. And watch this. And my intern is gone for the holiday, so I didn't have any of my show prep. I didn't have any of my stuff. We just flowed this entire show. And except for my big gaffe at the beginning, it went exceptionally well, I think.
Yeah, and that's what everyone said, and I was surprised with the feedback. So I told some people today I'd be live, but before I didn't tell them because I'm like, you know, they don't have to see it if I mess up. But the feedback was like incredible, and I was humble, and I'm grateful, and you know, I always want to be the forefront that I care about kids, and I want this world to be a better place. And so, I mean, I'd be open to doing it. You know, I'm super busy because I am trying to finish my dissertation, but yeah, I mean, we can talk about it.
Dr. Erika, you are already being recruited. Let me go ahead and put that up right there. Go ahead and put that up right there.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you.
See, the recruitment never stops. Get a good NIL deal, though, girl. Get you.
Yeah, look, can I get some for that image right there? That was 1992.
Thank you for making time for me as always. And I mean it, man. You are a phenomenal person. So tell the entire family we said hello. Can't wait to have you back. Can't wait to see you doing your own show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great 4th of July weekend, okay?
You too.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Y'all, Erika Martin Cross, she's phenomenal, and y'all gonna be hearing more from her as we get ready to do some great things. And she's got a lot of good stuff to say. I love her personality. I love all that she does. Listen, we're already, overtime, so let me get out of here. I'm just gonna play the What You Need to Know from Sybil Wilkes, and then we'll call it a wrap. Y'all have a great 4th of July weekend. Be safe out there. Be careful and enjoy yourself and enjoy your family. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I truly do love you, and there is nothing you can do about it. But meet Coach here on Monday for another episode of the HBCU Stroll. Y'all take care.
Sybil Wilkes with What You Need to Know. Today is Thursday, June 30th, 2022, or as I like to call it, Friday Eve. Number 1, hopes have dimmed for a voluntary interview with Virginia Thomas before a House Select Committee. The lawyer for the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas wrote an 8-page letter in which the attorney addressed concerns about any interview congressional investigators would conduct with her. 2 weeks ago, Congressman Benny Thompson, chairman of the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot, announced the invitation to Mrs. Thomas to testify about her participation in efforts to reverse Donald Trump's presidential election loss. Number 2, the Biden administration has released a fact sheet detailing what the 2022 North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, summit in Madrid plans to accomplish. The summit occurs amidst an unprecedented and horrific war in Ukraine instigated by Russian President Vladimir Putin, leaving more than 4,000 civilians dead as of June 26. Of them, more than 300 were children. Furthermore, over 5,000 people reported injuries, and historic infrastructure has been reduced to rubble. Number 3, at least some U.S. adults may get updated COVID-19 shots this fall as government advisors voted Tuesday. It's time to tweak the booster doses to better match the most recent virus variants. Advisors to the FDA wrestled with how to modify the doses. Now, when there's no way to know how rapidly the mutating virus will evolve by fall. Ultimately, the FDA panel voted that COVID-19 boosters should contain some version of the super contagious Omicron variant to be ready for an anticipated fall booster campaign. Number 4, a black man in New Haven, Connecticut was in custody. He was paralyzed from the neck down after police put him in the back of a prisoner transport van without a seatbelt and made an abrupt stop while driving. The man, who was handcuffed and not wearing a seatbelt, flew headfirst toward the front of the van's holding area, smashing his head on the wall and falling to the floor. He remained in that position until he reached the detention center about 8 minutes later, when officers dragged him out of the van, placed him in a wheelchair, and ridiculed him about his posture. New Haven Mayor Justin Elicker said the 5 officers involved in the incident have been put on administrative leave. The Connecticut State Police is investigating, and attorney Ben Crump is on the legal team of this man. Number 5. As a young man in Memphis, Tennessee, Robert Dabney Jr. wanted to blaze a path that could set his family up for a better life. So, weeks later, after graduating from high school in 1998 at age 18, he joined the U.S. Army. After he left the Army in 2007, returned to Memphis, and married with children, he struggled to see what he'd gained from his service. His experience seeking treatment through the Veterans Health Care System was plagued with challenges. Testimony like Mr. Dabney's was being shared at the first ever National Policy Conference for Black Veterans in Washington Thursday. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. There is a time for everything, a time to mourn and a time to dance. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the American Heart Association. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SybilWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.